Welcome to See Here this fine Sunday morning. And it'll be a very embattled See Here, I can guarantee you that, because we've got Assemblyman Ron Canestrari, and he'll be talking about the Republican war on the Capital District as he sees it. And then, theater in our area. Margaret Cahill. Is it survivable? Do we really want theater? Do we need it? I'll bet she says yes. And then finally, man's biggest problem, the prostate. Everybody knows somebody with a prostate problem. Be here. Dr. Stuart Rosenberg will tell you all about it and how to save yourself. All that and more on See Here. Here's the thing. There are some Democrats in our region here who are saying that the Republicans really have decided to punish Albany, to punish the Capital Region, to take everything that Albany and the Capital Region have and to move it down to the Hudson Valley, where people are friendlier to the Republican Party, where there's more of a competitive two-party system, which they have to win. I brought one of those Democrats on today just to talk to him about it, and to get the straight of it. I'll give him a hard time. You watch. Assemblyman Canestrari, good to see you again.
Good to be here, Alan.
Listen, tell us. Now, first they wanted to take all those civil servants and move them down.
And they're still doing some of those.
They're still doing some of those people.
Correct.
Then Fleet Bank. What is going on here?
Well, what we're seeing, in my opinion, and I think the facts show it, is that this administration is determined to help one area of the state at the expense of our area of the state. And this is the problem that I have. I have no problem helping IBM if they want to maintain their corporate and world headquarters in New York State. Let's do all that we can to assist them, but not at the expense of the Capital District. And there is the problem.
Well, why is this happening? I mean, what is it that is motivating this? It seems to me that the Pateki people now have messed up pretty badly, because all of those 3,000 people or so that they were going to move in the first place have stayed here. So now, you think they're going to be nice about this? You think they're going to say, oh, thank you, George, for keeping us here. We're going to vote for you?
Well, first of all, they don't care about what the people up here think, because I think they've written off the Capital District in Albany County in particular.
But a lot of them live in places like Troy and Manan.
The Capital District. We're just not saying Albany County. We're just not saying City of Albany. But they have made a determination to assist the Republican areas at our expense. And all this joy about, well, the state workers are staying here, that's not totally accurate. They are still moving 400 data processing jobs out of the Capital District. They still plan to realize most of their savings with this grand consolidation plan by laying off another 800 people with the data processing consolidation. And they still intend to take 3,100, if not more, private sector jobs from that Fleet Bank that are generating economic activity in this area. They're helping families and individuals in this area and move them down south. That is still happening. So all this joy over the big new announcement that took place, while it's better than it was, 4,000 state workers aren't leaving, and that's our main responsibility as state legislators. But also our responsibility is to the economic condition of this area, and we are seeing it deteriorate because of a consolidation plan and a concerted effort by this administration to help out Kingston and Endicott at our expense, and there is the problem.
Well, but what is your sense of their thinking about this area, about the Capital Region area? Is it just that from now on we're just thumbing our noses at it? We just don't care what anybody thinks? Is it just that simple?
Well, there's the fear and there's the danger. I don't know that. The long-term implications are not good. Obviously, some state workers may voluntarily move to Kingston. When they retire or when they leave, or if they do not go down to Kingston, where are they hiring the people from? Not from the Capital District, not from the City of Albany, not from Troy or Saratoga. They're hiring them from Kingston, from suburban Republican areas, so that the future growth, both in terms of the governmental sector down there and in terms of the private sector jobs that they're taking from our region to that area, the potential growth, the future activity, the future economic development activity will be down there and not up here. So we rob ourselves of the immediate jobs, the immediate economic activity, and the long-term economic growth as well, and the precedent is there. They're still planning to move 1,200 jobs, for example, out of New York City, workers' compensation board jobs, to another part of the state. So it's just not us saying only Albany, only the capital district. Of course, that's our main responsibility, but we're seeing examples of an economic development policy that makes no sense.
Well, how do the Democrats fight it, assuming that they're right?
First, we join with some of the Republicans, and Senator Joe Bruno, in particular, the majority leader of the Senate, is indispensable to this effort. And the only progress we have seen so far, I believe, is because of the Assembly Democrats working with the unions, raising the heat publicly, and having Senator Joe Bruno on board to make this disaster less harmful as possible.
There's some people who are saying that the Bruno thing was all staged to begin with, that this was going to go forward, that he was just going to vote for the budget and then he would have to make this fight in order to get reelected. Do you believe that?
Well, I don't believe it was staged. I don't believe it was all worked out to make him and Senator Havelock look better at the end. I don't believe that. I do believe that most politicians, including the governor's people, and most Republicans underestimated the public response, just not among the workers, but who are being affected by this move, the state workers, but they underestimated the public response in terms of this entire community over this proposed move of state workers out of this area. And they've now heard that public cry, and that's made a difference.
What is that? That people just don't like playing politics with people's lives?
Absolutely. We hear so much about family values. We hear so much about integrity of the family, doing what we can for jobs and economic development, and yet we see a crass political decision made at our expense to rob us of jobs, future economic growth, and people, I think, are fed up with that, and they are seeing neighbors and friends. Maybe a lot of people aren't sympathetic with state workers per se, and there's always resentment to those that may have a little more, perceived to have more than others. But when they realize that friends and neighbors and school children are being disrupted, the housing market is affected, the lack of confidence in terms of the economic activity in the area, this affects all of us. And no one likes to see people suffer unnecessarily for political purposes or for some grand scheme that has not been proven, for some scheme that's supposed to save $52 million that has not been substantiated, with decisions that are made behind closed doors and in secret. We have a task force to analyze some of this consolidation move, and I don't know where they're meeting, whether it's in a bunker in Kingston or what the deliberations are all about, but we're not seeing the type of information that should be coming forth from an administration when it directly affects people's lives and livelihood.
Do you think George Pataki's in charge of his own shop or that somebody else is calling the shots?
It's hard for me to tell because I'm not too close to that shop. My feeling is that there are people there making political decisions and they are controlling the agenda at this point in time. And this, in the guise of reducing the size of government, is basically a political decision to help that suburban area down there and to hurt our area as well.
There are those who think that you and several other Democrats will be targeted by Bill Powers, the Republican Party, this time, that they think they're on a roll at this stage, and that you're in great danger, political danger. Are you?
I don't know. I don't sense that. But myself, because the response from the public for our position has been quite strong. There obviously are colleagues in districts that are more marginal politically, that aren't as strong in terms of a Democratic enrollment, when, with the infusion of a great deal of cash, that race can make a difference. They targeted Paul Tonko in this area,
sure.
Spent a lot of money on Paul, and I think they've only strengthened him. But money can make a big difference in some of these races, and unfortunately, a lot of the big money, we know, is going for the Republicans.
And do you see a rationale for what Democrats are doing these days? Republicans have the Congress, they have the Senate, they have the governorship in New York. Are the Democrats doing what they need to do? Do they have a message that they should be sending out right now, or are they just in disarray?
I don't think the message is very coherent, nor very persuasive at this stage of the game. But Democrats aren't usually the most persuasive when it comes to conveying one central message, and that will take some time, I think, to develop.
What should that message be?
The message should be that we are the party still for the working men and women of this state and not for the privileged. Yeah. And the basic agenda should be to help the working men and women of this state.
Ron, with everything that you say, where are the protests? Where are the people walking around with placards and yelling and screaming? If Mario had cut 2% off some benefit, they'd be out there yelling and screaming and carrying on. I hear silence now.
Well, there's silence now, and I think that's
Come on now, you know.
But there was a great deal during the budget cycle. There was a great deal of protest over this proposed move by state workers.
I'm going to argue with you. I don't think there was. I think they went through the motions. It was like the walking zombies, the walking dead, but it was not. I didn't see any real passionate protest, and I don't see any against what the welfare cuts and the Congress and all the rest. I'm wondering, is it only when Democrats are elected that this kind of thing goes on? In other words, only when your guy is in that the people who depend on them will yell and scream? Or
well, I think there's more of that, and I think people are reeling from the shock of a lot of the changes that have been proposed and implemented, and people are hurting, and in light of that, don't know quite how to rally. But give it time.
Okay, on those words,
happen.
Thanks for coming in, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment, and we'll have a great discussion about theater in the Capital Region. Well, Margaret Cahill walks into the Capitol Rep Theater here in Albany, and she has a tough time of it. She's got to raise money, she's got to put on interesting performances, she's got to just do it all, and that is not an easy thing. I want to welcome you, Maggie.
Thank you, Alan.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm really happy
Are you
to be
comfortable? Are you comfortable in your chair? Is everything okay?
here. Fine. I'm
Okay.
fine. I'm okay so far.
Well, okay, so here's a question for you. Classical music, we think, is dying all over. Legitimate theater is having trouble in a lot of places. How do you do it? How do you make people in the capital area come out and support their local theater?
Well, I think that that's a question that people are asking all across our country right now. And as a parent, because I am a parent, I think that it's very important that that probably begins with young people. And so there has to be a concerted effort to get young people into our theaters and our performing arts so that people can have the experience. You know, there's nothing like the experience to get you to come back to have the experience again.
How are you going to do it? How are you going to get those young people in here in Albany?
Well, we have, you know, a lot of school programs that we do. We go out into the schools and we talk about theater in the schools, and we bring actors out into the schools, and we do all that kind of work. And right now I'm going into a lot of people's homes from our board and our subscribers who have been very generous, and I come in and I talk to friends about the theater and what theater is, why it's important, and why it's fun, and
well, now,
why we need to
here's
go
the
on.
wrap on you and your predecessors and everybody else. You haven't had your chance yet, but this will be the wrap. You're going to say, well, I like to do interesting theater. And interesting theater immediately makes everybody go and run and hide under the bed.
You know, in the theater, whenever you see somebody's performance and you don't like it, you always go backstage, "Oh, it's very interesting."
Yeah,
so,
but,
yeah, I know this word.
Yes, but I'm talking about, you know, people are always trying to do challenging things, things about an AIDS patient, things about this and that, and a lot of people are scared by that. They want to see West Side Story and Carousel, and this was a real nice clam bake, we're mighty glad you came. Things like that. Why? What is it to be an artistic director and have to make those choices?
Well, you know, I like plays about clam bakes. I happen to love that musical. I love Carousel. And I don't see any reason why that is not available and available in a really excellent way. But at the same time, I think it's also important that we expose ourselves to a lot of new human ideas and new horizons. But I want to tell you something. I don't believe that theater is educational. I don't think it's good for us. I think that
Not like cod liver oil.
It isn't, no. And I think that sometimes the performing arts gets a rap that this is good for you and you should do it because it's good for you. And the truth is, I think you should go because you have a good time. It is fun to be in a room with people who laugh at the same jokes. It is more fun to be in a group that laugh at the same jokes, hopefully, than it is to be in a movie or to be in front of a home television.
So what are you going to do this year to keep us happy?
Well, I'm going to do a lot of things. We're starting out with Molière's Don Juan, which is the story about a womanizer who gets his, and, you know, It's funny, Alan.
Gets his what?
His comeuppance.
Oh, he's come up.
I'm cleaning that up for
I
television.
see. So being a womanizer is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing, Alan.
Yeah.
I want it out there. It's not a good thing.
And this makes the point.
It does make the point. He does go to hell, you know, at the end of the play. Yeah, he does, you know.
Uh-oh.
The devil comes and gets him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What next?
And the next one we're going to do is called A Tuna Christmas, and that takes place in Tuna, Texas. And it's about the 35 inhabitants of the smallest metropolitan town in Texas at their radio station, and 2 actors play all the inhabitants of the town at Christmas time to wish you a great Christmas.
And this is coming at the same time as...
Yeah, we try a capital rep, and I think it's a good tradition. I think tradition is important.
What,
to do
no more...
a wacky play at Christmas.
What, no more Scrooge?
I love A Christmas Carol, too. Everybody go see it. It'll be at the Palace.
Again, it'll be here again.
It'll be here again with John Astin, and please go. And I love that story. I think that's a wonderful story to be out there.
After scoring 48 points in 13 minutes,
Get together and sort of like each other, not compete with each other.
Yeah.
Are you nervous that if you don't do well here, they'll fire you?
the ball game. With Thanksgiving behind us, the weather has shifted directly into the Christmas season.
Sure, I mean, we're all
You have a lot to do, don't you? You have to do all this
lots to
artistic
do.
stuff, and you have to raise a ton of money,
I
don't you?
do. I have to
make
raise
it that.
a lot of money.
How do you raise money? You go and you put your hand out and say to people, you know, just give me some money.
Well, Alan,
Yeah.
you're really good at it.
Yeah.
I practice. I do what you do.
You
In
are?
fact, you're my mentor.
Ah, I see.
If I could be as good at raising money as you were on that pledge that I heard this fall,
Yeah.
I'd be sailing.
Maggie, what else you got coming in this year besides tuna?
Okay, so then we're doing a romance, a middle-aged romance, Tally's Folly. Then we're going to do the
What's
big...
that about?
That's about a middle-aged Jewish man who falls in love with a Midwestern farm girl.
Who is not Jewish?
She's not Jewish and her parents are not thrilled,
Uh-huh.
but they're perfect for each other, and it's how they get together on a moonlight night, and it's very sweet.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
It's nice.
Does it have a good ending?
Yes, it does.
I might go to that one because, you know, I only go to things with good endings.
It's a great ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anything else?
Yeah, we're going to do The Grapes of Wrath, an adaptation of John Steinbeck's great novel.
Oh.
The biggest
Lenny, that was a
production-
bad thing.
What?
Didn't he say that was a bad thing, Lenny, or something like that? Oh, no, I'm thinking of Mice and Men.
Of Mice and Men. That's okay, it's
Shows-
Steinbeck. It's
Shows
just
you
the
where
same-
I'm at.
it's the same
Yeah, no, it's
author.
the same author.
Yeah.
Wrong play.
This will be the biggest production Capital Rep has ever done. And we will be utilizing people from the local community, the pros here as well as the pros that come in from New York to do our plays. And then we're doing a play called Junk Bonds that's written by a bonds trader. And guess what? It's the inside secrets of the bonds trader world in New York City.
Must have been something.
Very interesting.
Right.
And then we're finishing with Bill Kennedy and Romulus Winnie's world premiere.
A lot of people are waiting to see Bill
Grandeur.
Kennedy's new play.
Yeah, well, you know, Bill Kennedy doesn't write a play every day.
No.
And this is the one he wrote especially for the theater.
Maggie,
Hmm?
thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
I would kiss you, but I don't want to go to hell. We'll be... Oh, my God.
My goodness.
We'll be right back,
I'll go with you.
and I'll tell you all about watching out for prostate. Hey, we all got some friends. One of my friends is Dr. Stuart Rosenberg. You know, Stuart is a guy who really knows an awful lot about prostates and other men problems, as well as some interesting women problems. And he's here to talk to us about prostate today, and a lot of people have prostate problems. In fact, it's my understanding that as you get older and older, it's almost inevitable that people over a certain age are going to get prostate cancer. Is that true, Stu?
That is true.
What percent, do you know?
Well, approximately, it is estimated that 40,000 men in the United States will die of prostate cancer in 1995. It is the second most common leading cause of cancer death in men. Approximately 240,000 men will be newly diagnosed as having prostate cancer this year.
Okay, let's not shilly-shally here. How do you know you're getting prostate cancer?
Unfortunately, Alan, you don't know. And that is the reason why we are coming to the public and making men aware of this disease so that they can be appropriately screened for prostate cancer.
Okay, how do you screen?
Basically, screening is seeing your family physician allowing him to do what's called a examination of your prostate, and then also having...
Well, we've all had one of those, and they're very uncomfortable.
Well, our fingers have gotten smaller, and we do what we call a digital rectal exam with a lot of lubrication so that the man is not uncomfortable. And this digital rectal exam is extremely important, very much like women go to their gynecologist and have a pelvic exam.
So you can feel with your finger whether somebody has an enlarged prostate?
You can feel if an individual has an enlarged prostate, but more importantly...
Have you ever diagnosed, Stuart, a case of cancer, prostate cancer, just by feeling the prostate?
Yes, yes. Prostate cancer in certain individuals is palpable. That is, you can feel it. And it feels like a nodule, a firm nodule when you examine the prostate. And all one has to do then is biopsy it, which is a painless procedure, and then one has the diagnosis of prostate cancer made.
How do they biopsy? How do they go in?
We use a probe that has an ultrasound transducer. And this ultrasound transducer allows us to visualize the prostate, visualize the nodule, and then we slide a tiny little needle in through the transducer probe, and we remove a small segment of tissue.
Okay, now let's assume you find out that somebody has cancer, prostate cancer. What then happens?
Well, a lot depends on the patient's age, Alan.
Okay, I'll use my age, 54.
I thought you were 39. All right, 54. In a 54-year-old male with prostate cancer, there is a very good chance that this man will die of his disease.
Right.
The disease is slow growing. In fact, that's always been touted as a reason maybe not to look for prostate cancer because it's such an indolent, slow-growing disease. But in 5 years, the disease will double in its size, okay? Whereas in, let's say, breast cancer, it takes 3 months for it to double in size. But in 10 years, you'll have a disease that's manifest to the patient, and in 15 years, let's say if at 54, okay, 65 or 67, you would die of prostate cancer.
So therefore you got to do something about it, right?
In a young man.
What, am I a young man?
You're a young man.
Okay, what do you do?
In a young man like yourself, okay, if you were diagnosed as having prostate cancer, the first thing we'll do is we would look at a number called, or a blood test called prostate-specific antigen.
So PSA.
PSA. And PSA is a marker of prostate cancer that we can measure. And there are numbers that come out. In fact, men compare their PSA scores like they do their golf handicaps.
Yeah, so if you got a 2, you're good. If you got a 4, you're bad, right?
Well, not quite.
No.
Not quite. It's, again, related to age. Generally, anything between 1 to 4 is considered normal. However, if you're a 40-year-old man and you have a PSA of 4.5, you may have prostate cancer.
Right.
If you're a 65-year-old man and have a PSA of 4.5, you just may have a benign enlarged prostate. But to get back to your question, I would measure your PSA, and if it is elevated, let's say more than 4, 6, 8, 10, then I would be concerned that you have a more extensive disease than I can feel with my finger.
Okay, so this PSA has been revolutionary, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
And if somebody's out there with a husband, if it's a wife, and she cares about her husband, she's going to say, turn around and say, hey, Sam, you got to get to the doctor to get one of these PSA tests because it may save your life, right?
Yes, it may.
Okay, so now, you mentioned something before that is of concern to everybody. As people grow older, their prostates enlarge. That's something that happens in men.
It's a natural sequence of aging in a male.
Which means that the urinary stream, not to be too graphic about it, we have something up there on the thing, the urinary stream comes down and a little bit slower sometimes because the prostate is enlarged, right?
That's true.
And when that happens, a lot of men say, uh-oh, I think I got prostate cancer, but it ain't necessarily so, right?
Right, right. Every man has a prostate, and every man's prostate will get larger with aging. And as one ages, as the prostate enlarges, it encroaches upon the channel through which you void. Now, if you look at this diagram, you'll see the bladder at the 12 o'clock position that basically stores urine. And to void, one has a contraction of the bladder, and urine is propelled through a tube called the urethra. Now, at the junction of the urethra and the bladder is an organ called the prostate gland. And the prostate gland surrounds the urethra much like a donut, and you void basically through the hole. And as it gets larger, the hole diminishes in size, and so your stream slows down. Now, the prostate gland can enlarge in a benign fashion, as you noted, or it can enlarge in a malignant fashion.
Which is more common, benign or malignant?
Benign is far more common than malignant disease. So the fact that your stream is slowing down because you're 70 years of age doesn't mean that you have prostate cancer. You could have prostate cancer, but certainly it's not a fact.
I want to go back to that. If somebody is 70 years old and that you have a newly discovered prostate cancer, is it likely that what you'll do is leave it alone?
Well, you've hit the controversy right here. What do you do in a 70-year-old male who has prostate cancer? And there's debates in the newspapers and TVs and the medical journals, even amongst urologists. It's a controversial subject.
So, we have to go. It's unbelievable, but we do have to go. We're out of time. But this is a very serious subject, this business of prostate. It's one of the leading causes of cancer among men. I do think you have to be very careful about it. That's See Here for this week. We'll see you all next week. Be there.